strong.
What's going on, everybody? From the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you for all the people that have been tuning in and hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell. It's much appreciated, and I love you so much. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. This episode, we're going to talk about our comfort zone and why it could be ruining your growth. All right, so let's get going. Let's dive in. So in this episode, we're going to break it down. We're going to go off of two things. One, that our comfort zone changes. That's the first topic and first part we're going to talk about. And then two, what is holding us from moving into that growth or learning zone. So I think this has been one of the biggest finds that I've realized in when it comes to our comfort zone and why our comfort zone might be holding us back. And that's our comfort zone changes so much. So I'll give you a little story. When I started working out about 5 years ago, I woke up really early in the morning because I wanted kids to get to the gym early on during the summer so we could practice for the upcoming basketball season, because most of our growth happens in the off season. So I started getting up very early, and I had kids there, and it was like peeling paint off the wall sometimes of me getting out of bed and getting to the gym and just trying to be energetic with the kids, but then also afterwards I would work out, or before even getting the kids getting there, I would work out. So I think now it's like, oh yeah, Dan, you're so used to it, blah blah blah, like you can get up at whatever time and go to the gym. And so I had to do some self-reflection about my comfort zone, about I do feel comfortable waking up very early in the morning to get to the gym, where to other people that might be like skydiving. That's their comfort zone. Like that's how terrified they are of getting up that early in the morning to go work out. So I had to do a little self-reflection for myself, because I constantly listen to motivational people, and especially people that are just athletes, and they talk about our comfort zone is once we hit that, like, oh, like my goal was benching 225 or whatever and repping it out. That's once you hit that peak or your goal, you might sit there and go, I made it, right? But to make sure that's not part of your comfort zone, we have to reach to another goal. Or if you were to bench press at one time, and now your next couple of weeks during when you do chest or whatever, you need to start trying to bench press it 5 times, 10 times, because that's getting you out of your comfort zone. So many people can go to the gym and do what they normally do and not push themselves. That's not stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's just like, oh yeah, I feel like I can control everything. And to me, I'll talk about that later, but your comfort zone is everything that you think is easy or that you can control. So I always look at it like all of us were so terrified about driving, right? We get 16, 17, whenever you got your driver's license, you were terrified of driving. And now you can drive 14 hours to go on spring break without even really thinking about it, because your brain has literally gone into cruise control because you're so used to it. I always look at it when I watch young kids start learning how to ride their bikes. Terrified of falling. They got all the knee pads on, all the shoulder pads and elbow pads, helmets, everything. And now you see them 14, 15, 16 years old. Some might still wear their helmets, but most of the kids can just be cruising around North Street or anywhere they're at just without anything, because it's so comfortable for them. And we love to do things that are comfortable. Just like if you are a basketball player, learning how to dribble between your legs was such a huge accomplishment. But now we know how to dribble between our legs. We kind of settle and be like, oh, well, that's easy. we don't push to that next level of like, what can I do better? How can I push myself to be the best version of myself? For me, I love to live in discomfort because I think it makes me happy. Being uncomfortable in situations make me happy. I'm not talking about being uncomfortable, like not being around people that might not like you. I'm talking about pushing myself to a breaking point, or mentally like pushing myself to do things that I know are uncomfortable. Sorry, a little Leon interruption. Um, it's just coming to the point of knowing that you can do something and it's so normal to you that you don't want it to change because you can control it. But just like life, you can't control what happens in life. You can only control your reaction. But now we're going to dive into, I'm going to get a little animated, but we're going to dive into what is holding us in that comfort zone and not getting to the learning zone or the growth zone. So let's get there. When I look at our comfort zone, and I continue to say it's about what we can control and what might feel easy to us, the biggest zone I think that we've all gone through, and we still go through it to this day when we're making decisions about life, who we're going to marry, where we're going to live, what school our kids are going to go to, is fear. Think about that. Fear. What are your excuses? Why are you staying where you are? Because you're scared. You might use excuses. You might not feel comfortable, but you will never, ever grow. I was fearful to do this. I was fearful to get in front of a camera. I talk to my staff. I talk to whoever wants to listen to me talk constantly. But I was fearful to maybe people don't actually want to hear me talk. They just do it because they're my friend, or I'm their boss or something like that. But why not go out and do it? Your comfort zone is what's holding you back on getting to the person or people or goal that you've envisioned yourself being. And you only want to control what you can control. So if you can only control what you can control being uncomfortable. Control waking up every day and knocking 2 things out of the park. 2 goals that are not easy. So like drinking a bottle of water could be very, very easy for you. But drinking a gallon of water might not be. I don't want you to take that leap. But do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. If that's talking and telling somebody that you might be in charge of, or you might be in love with, or you need to have a hard conversation, do it. Stop being so fearful. You have to get outside of the excuses that you're telling yourself, because you're not telling anybody else. You're only telling yourself of what's holding you back in your little comfort zone. You can't get through life being comfortable. I don't think, that's just me talking, you can succeed doing things that you're comfortable in. And you might be succeeding now, but now I want you to take a self-reflection about what were those steps or those questions or those moments in your life that you were like, oh, that was scary, but I did it. Just do it. Just do it. Tell that person you like them. What's going to happen? No, I don't like you. There's 7.7 billion people in the world. Figure out a way every single day to try to live past the fear zone. Because after the fear zone, you start learning. You're in the learning zone. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm learning how to attract people to my production or podcast or whatever you want to call this. But also just speaking the truth. I want people to live outside their comfort zone. Not in everything. But when they're making hard decisions, stop with the excuses and just go get it. Stop with, I wake up at 5, I get to the gym at 5:30, right? Due to health concerns, I have to stay there at 5:30. I might sprinkle in a 4 o'clock workout, but I was going a little too crazy and ended up in the hospital a little bit. But we have to understand that there's so many times in each day that we allow fear and we allow our excuses to push us to not be who we actually want to be. So if you're going to learn anything from this one segment, please, on everything that you love, get outside of making excuses and get outside of letting your fear take over you. I've always learned this from Les Brown. Fear is false evidence appearing real. You can't let fear get in the way of making hard decisions. You're fearful of their reaction. You're fearful of their opinion. Let's get going and let's start living the way we know how to live. Goes out to anybody that's ever started running, right? A lot of us have started running maybe a couple miles, maybe a mile, or started walking, right? We felt comfortable walking. Some did. Some struggled walking. But it's to the point where we want to hit that 1 mile mark. And I think this has a lot to do with what we're dealing with our comfort zone. It's like my biggest goal is to get it under a 10-minute mile, right? That could be someone's goal. And then they finally work for the next 6 months to get to that 9:59. And that's an unbelievable feeling. Don't get me wrong. That's my dog. But it's to the point where now what are we going to do after that? What's our next growth moment? Are we just going to sit there and say, yeah, I hit my goal? Yes, you can also self-reflect and be like, damn, I hit that goal. Wow. But now you're comfortable. So now your comfort level has changed. And now what are we going to do about that? Because we know our comfort level has changed, because we know next week we can do it again. And in the following week we can do it again. So we might just continue to do that. So if you're going to learn anything from this little talk, even if it is fearful, go do it. Even if you didn't do it, write it down so you understand that that was a moment that I can never get back. Don't regret stuff. Go out and don't allow fear to get in the way of the amazing human being that you are. I promise you, once you start doing this, watch out, world, because I know you're coming and I know you got it in you. Get outside your comfort zone and start living. Much love. Don't be average. Be amazing. Thank you for the support.